Samantha had just moved into the old apartment building at the end of the street. It wasn't the most glamorous place, but the rent was cheap, and the landlord seemed nice enough. The building was quiet, save for the occasional creak of the stairs and the faint hum of the elevator. One evening, as she was unpacking, Samantha noticed something strange. There was a door in the hallway that was always locked. It wasn't a regular apartment door, it was just a plain wooden door at the end of the hall, with no windows or signs. What caught her attention was that it was always locked, and no one seemed to have the key. Curiosity gnawed at her. She asked the landlord about it, but he simply shrugged and said, "Oh, that door. It's been locked for years. Don't worry about it." Samantha wasn't one to take hints. Over the next few days, she couldn't help but wonder what was behind that door. Late one night, when the building was quiet and everyone else seemed to be asleep, she decided to try the door herself. She knew it was probably nothing, but something inside her urged her to find out. She tiptoed to the door, trying the handle. To her surprise, it creaked open. The air behind it smelled musty, like something hadn't been disturbed for years. With a flash of hesitation, Samantha stepped inside. The room was small, barely big enough to fit a chair and a table. It was dim, with only a small, flickering light bulb overhead. The walls were lined with old bookshelves, filled with dusty books and strange objects she didn't recognize. But what caught her eye was a small, ornate mirror on the wall. It was covered in dust, but its glass was somehow clean, almost unnaturally so. Samantha reached out to wipe the dust from the mirror, her fingers brushing against its cool surface. As soon as she did, she felt a sudden chill sweep through the room, and the air seemed to grow heavier. The light above her flickered and went out. In the pitch-black room, she heard something. A soft, slow tapping sound, like fingernails scraping against the floor. She spun around, but there was nothing there. The tapping continued, and now it sounded closer, almost behind her. Her heart pounded. She fumbled for her phone, using its flashlight to scan the room. The light fell on the mirror, and she froze. In the reflection, she saw a figure standing behind her. It was a pale, emaciated woman with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. Samantha's blood ran cold. The woman's mouth moved, but no sound came from it. Then, in the reflection, the woman slowly reached out, her fingers curling toward Samantha. Terrified, Samantha turned around, but there was no one there. She spun back to the mirror. The woman was still there, staring at her, her eyes wide and unblinking. Samantha stumbled backward, her breath coming in short gasps, and as she did, she heard a soft whisper from the darkness. "Leave, now." Without thinking, she bolted from the room, slamming the door behind her. She could still hear the soft tapping, growing fainter as she ran down the hall, but she didn't stop until she was back in her apartment, shaking. The next morning, Samantha decided to leave the building. As she packed her things, she glanced out the window and saw the landlord standing outside, watching her with a strange, knowing smile. He didn't say a word. But as she turned away to finish packing, she saw it. The door at the end of the hall, the one that had been locked, was now wide open. And the reflection in the mirror inside? It wasn't hers.